Hello, everyone. My name is Tristan Schutte, and my project will be on digestion too. So let's get into this. Okay, so before we talk about the digestive organs, I just want to say that, for the record, there is an alimentary canal, and it's about a 25-foot tube that is used to transport food through the body in one direction. This is where obviously all of the digestive organs come into play. So, the order it travels in, it starts in the mouth. It includes chewing. After chewing, food continues through the pharynx. Food is swallowed and travels directly to the esophagus. And then once reaching the esophagus, food is then moved with a wave-like muscular contraction called peristalsis. The stomach then breaks the food down into a paste-like substance, which we call chyme, using acid and enzymes. After reaching the small intestines, this is the primary site of absorption of nutrients like carbohydrates, proteins, etc. Finally, in the large intestine, water and salt is absorbed, and the forming and storing of feces begins for defecation. So, I know that's a lot, but the way I like to remember the order is kind of like a silly acronym I made up. I know it's corny, but mighty people eat soft, sweet lobster. Obviously, the M standing for mouth, P standing for the pharynx, E for the esophagus, and so on. But mighty people eat soft, sweet lobster. That is my way of remembering the order in which it takes place within the organs. So, like, in my head, remembering that, I know that the process starts in the mouth and then continues through the pharynx and so on. So, yes, those are the digestive organs. And then on the left, you can see where everything's located in your body. Okay, so mechanical digestion. Mechanical digestion is the physical processes of breaking down food into smaller pieces without altering its chemical composition. So this would be like chewing food in the mouth, peristalsis happening in the esophagus, and segmentation in the stomach and small intestines. These would all be examples of mechanical digestion. And then moving on, you have chemical digestion. So chemical digestion is the process of breaking down food into the basic molecular components. So this is done with the help of acids and digestive enzymes. So these can be found in like saliva in your mouth. It starts in the mouth, and then it continues into the stomach with gastric juices, and is then completed in the small intestine with the use of bile and pancreatic enzymes. So, moving on, we have chemical digestion of nutrients. So we have 4. We have carbohydrates, protein, lipids, and nucleic acid. Starting with carbohydrates, it's digested in the mouth and the small intestine, and is primarily secreted in the mouth and small intestine. Protein is digested in the stomach and small intestine, and is primarily secreted in the stomach, pancreas, and small intestine. Lipids are digested in the small intestine. They are primarily secreted in the pancreas, liver, and gallbladder. And then nucleic acid is digested in the small intestine, and it's primarily secreted in the pancreas. So as you can see on the right with this picture, you have carbohydrates, proteins, and then fats and oil, which would be lipids. It shows how it's converted and what it gets converted into. So carbohydrates, you have that. You have amylase, you have lactase, maltase, and then that shows how it gets converted into sugar. Protein, you have pepsin, trypsin, and peptidase, which gets converted into amino acids. And then for the lipids/fats, you have lipase, which then gets turned into fatty acids. So, moving on. Okay, so we're on the gastric secretion phases. There's 3 of these phases, and I have them all in order from first to last. So, starting with the first phase, we have the cephalic phase. So this phase is triggered by the sight or the smell or even the thought of food. This is when the brain sends signals to the stomach to prepare for the food by secreting gastric juices, also known as gastrin. And on the right, I have a nice little diagram explaining a little bit more if you wanted to read more into it. So for the second phase, this is the gastric phase. Now, the gastric phase begins when food actually enters the stomach. The stomach then stretches, and gastrin secretion promotes the release of more gastric juices, and this is done to better aid in digestion in the stomach. And then for the third and last phase of gastric secretion, we have the intestinal phase. So the intestinal phase, this occurs when chyme enters the small intestine. Hormones including secretin and CCK are released to try and slow gastric activity and help better coordinate digestion with the small intestine. Okay, so now we're on hormones in the digestive regulation. So there's going to be 5 of these that we talk about. No particular order, but starting off with gastrin. Gastrin stimulates the secretion of gastric acid and promotes gastric motility, which aids in the protein digestion. So, and then I have on the right showing how it affects the liver, gallbladder, pancreas, stomach, and intestine. Okay, so the second hormone we're going to be talking about is CCK. CCK stimulates the release of bile from the gallbladder and pancreatic enzymes, and this helps in aiding in the digestion of fats and proteins. So just a little diagram on the right showing where CCK is involved. Okay, the third hormone we're going to be talking about is secretin. So secretin stimulates the release of bicarbonate from the pancreas, which neutralizes stomach acid in the small intestine. So as you can see, like gastrin, I have another one of those diagrams on the right showing how secretin affects the pancreas, the duodenum, the liver, the stomach, the gallbladder, intestine, and the brain. Okay, now moving on, we're on the fourth, which would be histamine. Histamine stimulates acid production in the stomach, also known as HCI secretion. And then I have another diagram on the right going more in depth of what histamine does. And then finally, the fifth hormone and last we have for digestive regulation would be the gastric inhibitory peptide, or also known as GIP for short. GIP slows gastric emptying and promotes insulin release from the pancreas in response to food. And again, I have another one of those diagrams on the right if anyone's interested in looking more in depth at that. Okay. Now we're going to go on to the anatomy of the liver, the pancreas, and the gallbladder. I'm starting off with the liver. This one's a little bit longer, but there's more to be said. So starting off, the liver. It has 4 lobes, and the right and left lobes are the largest of the lobes. The liver's primary functions are detoxification, nutrient storage, bile production, blood filtration, and metabolic regulation. Key structures of the liver include the hepatic artery, which delivers oxygen-rich blood, the hepatic portal vein, which carries nutrient-rich blood from the intestines, and the bile duct, which transports bile. The liver also has cells called hepatocytes that produce bile, which is then collected in the bile canaliculi and then emptied into the bile ducts, then transported to the gallbladder or directly to the small intestine. And then on the right, I have an image of the liver showing obviously where the hepatic vein is, the gallbladder, the hepatic artery, portal vein, all of it in relation to the liver. Moving on, we have the pancreas. So the pancreas functions in both the exocrine and endocrine glands. So we're going to start with the exocrine. The function of the pancreas and the exocrine glands is to produce digestive enzymes like lipase, amylase, protease, and bicarbonate, which are then secreted into the small intestines. And then the function of the pancreas in the endocrine gland is to secrete insulin and glucagon to regulate blood sugar levels. And then on the right, I have another diagram of the pancreas in relation to the small intestines, the gallbladder, and the bile duct. And then finally, we have the gallbladder. So the function of the gallbladder is to store and concentrate bile produced by the liver. When food enters the small intestine, the gallbladder then releases bile to aid in the digestion and the absorption of fats. And then, as you can see on the right, another diagram. I love the diagrams, just displaying where everything is in relation. So it's really useful. You can see the liver, the bile duct, pancreas, gallbladder. But that would be it for digestion 2. Thank you for listening and watching my presentation, and have a great day.